I feel like this book was not afraid to go into the hard side of life. Here and welcome back once again to a new bookish video. Now, I got a longer cord for my mic in the hopes that having it closer to my mouth would make it sound better, because admittedly, this mic doesn't sound the best, so I hope that this helps. I recently finished Tom Felton's Beyond the Wand. Now, this one is about Tom Felton's life, and if you don't know who Tom Felton is, we will discuss that in the character portion of this video. In the character portion, there is no real character to speak of because this book is an autobiography and it's about a real person's life. And Tom Felton is the one who played our favorite mischievous Slytherin, Draco Malfoy. Through this book, we get to not only see his struggles during the Harry Potter films, but also some insights into his life. So, let's get into the mysterious Slytherin. So my thoughts on this book right away were his writing style is so charming and cozy and endearing. He has this way of writing that just has you smiling. It's just cozy, and it's honestly really funny, which I was not expecting an autobiography to be as funny as it was, but there were so many parts where I was sitting there laughing because it was just funny. And not only does he talk about his journey during the Potter films, but he also talks about like little snippets of his life. Like when he first talked about his acting career, I didn't know that he had been in movies before the Harry Potter films. He was in 2. And he also did some like plays and stuff. And I also didn't realize he had 4 older brothers. Jinx was his creative inspiration and was the one that told him that liking creative stuff was not stupid and gave him the courage to follow those creative pursuits. Then he had another brother, Chris, and another brother after that, which I forget the 3rd brother's name. He's the youngest of 4 brothers, so needless to say, they kept him grounded. Now, he talks about his journey through the Potter films and the audition, and the fact that it doesn't really matter, I don't care if I get the part attitude, was what got him the part of Draco. He actually wanted to originally play Harry, because he originally started out like reading lines for Harry, but his I don't care not macabre attitude, but his I don't care, it's whatever nature landed him the role of Draco. And it's so, like, he fits the role so well, and honestly at this point I couldn't imagine someone else playing Draco, because he is Draco. And to that point, the he is Draco thing, it was crazy to me when he talks about some fans. It's crazy to me that older fans, like teenagers and adults, sometimes could not distinguish the actor from the character. Like, there were people that would cuss him out for how he was treating Harry, and it's like, aren't you a grown person? Aren't you a young adult? How do you not realize that he's an actor playing a character? And I guess to his credit, that means he played the role well, because people are so like, how could you do that to Harry? You're such a brat. You're a dick. Like, he's literally been called a dick in the book, and he's like, I'm just doing my job. And he also talked about like younger fans. Like, there was this little girl that had asked him, what's it like to ride a broom? And he responded, it kind of hurts, it kind of sucks, because he was viewing it as like the one sitting on the mechanism to fly the broom, and the little girl's face just dropped. So he eventually learned to not kill the magic and go along with it and play his character. But it's surprising to me how often he mentioned being misidentified. Like, someone mistook him for Macaulay Culkin, someone mistook him for somebody else from, like, Breaking Bad, I think he said. And it's kind of wild to me that someone in a film as big as the Harry Potter films gets mistaken for other actors. And sometimes he just rolled with it because it made the people he was talking to happy. He didn't know if they ever figured out that he wasn't the person, but he made their day in that moment. But what really struck me was the part where he talked about his alcohol problem. And this was a part where it was like hard to read, but not because it wasn't written well. It's just hard to read because it's sad to know that anybody goes through this. Like, it got so bad that his family had to stage an intervention and send him to rehab. And all the while he was saying, it's just a drink here and there, I don't have a problem. But in reality, if you're getting drunk every night at the pub to escape problems that you're not dealing with, that is bad. And I feel like this book was not afraid to go into the hard side of life, even for those that we put on a pedestal. People don't think that actors or actresses or people in the public eye have issues, but when you're in the public eye so often for such a big thing, you have that pressure to maintain a sense of dignity and always, like, be happy for your fans. And then there's the whole press thing, which I was surprised to see that he didn't really go into any issues with the press, because it seems like a lot of people deal with issues at the press. But there were some things he said where I'm like, you know, celebrities are people too, but a lot of people treat them like zoo attractions and are like, you have to do what I want, you have to, like, sign this or sign that or give, like, play up your character all the time. And it's like, eventually you get to a point where you're like, guys, just leave them alone, they're human too. Like, a scary part was when he said, I once got this fan letter that was from this guy that told me he changed his name to Lucius and changed the name of his house to Malfoy Manor and wanted Tom to change his name legally to Draco so he could adopt him. And I'm like, that's unhinged. And, like, what's wrong with people? Like, celebrities are human too, and I think that so often, because we associate these people with their characters like we do, we seem to forget that. Or we're so excited to meet them that we forget, oh, they're human too. Maybe we should tone it down a bit and treat them like a human instead of like a tiger in a zoo enclosure. And it's, I don't know, he talked about stuff where I'm like, well, that kind of hit a little hard. And it's so cool that he felt that he wanted to share that stuff. And I don't read autobiographies very often. I don't know why I wanted to read his autobiography, but I've been wanting to read it for months now. It's been in my Barnes & Noble cart for months. And when I saw how cheap it was on my Nook, I was like, mine. And it was an enjoyable read. It was an honest read. And he seems like such a good person. I mean, I know you can't see that from a book, but he is so far removed from the snooty Draco that we got in Harry Potter. And it was a fun read. And it had me smiling through a lot of the book, honestly. Like I said, I did not expect an autobiography to be as cozy and as funny as it was. Most people, when they do autobiographies, focus on the fun stuff. But it seems like with this book, he's okay diving into the harder topics of his life and of life in general, which makes this book seem even more sincere. Um, but yeah, I really liked it. I also got The Wager, which is another one that's been sitting in my cart for months now. So I got that. I might start that. I'm also still reading the last book to ACOTAR series. Yeah, so that's my thoughts on Tom Felton's Beyond the Wand. I thought it was good. His writing was funny and endearing and honest, and just, it felt real. It didn't feel like he was pretending or glamorizing anything. He's just like, here's my story. You can either like it or don't. I, I'm gonna tell it. And I think that's great. So I hope that this sounds a little better now that I have a longer cord and can bring it closer. I hope I'm not too loud, and I hope to see you next time. Bye guys, I lost the remote. Here it is.